Listen.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Now sometimes people say, well, you mean everything that I understand will confuse me if I don't understand racism? Yes, because racism is the dominant political and religious motivating force among the people of the planet in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. That covers just about everything that any person, minute by minute, might be doing or engaged in any time of day or night, anywhere on the planet. Well, anybody who adopts that's a weak adoption, I would say, through counter-racist codified logic. So for black people, rite of passage means you need to pass out from under the system of racism. That should be the black rite of passage. I mean, even these fraternities and sororities that believe in beating up on people and whatnot and taking them through some type of ritualized rite of passage by beating them or calling them names or taking them through some type of test. That is insane. They ought to stop doing it, those that are still doing it. That should be an absolute no-no. An absolute no-no. That is completely insane. And you don't teach people that type of thing and do it under the banner of some type of sophistication. That this is some type of advancement, some type of civilizing process. It absolutely is not. And beating up on the females, which is a tribal custom among a whole bunch of black people worldwide, needs to stop this very minute. This very minute. And repeating what I said just a few minutes ago, you black males, you're not qualified. I don't care how you strut around talking about you were great kings and queens. I mean, going back to the pyramids and all this kind of... Stop shamming. Stop shamming. You're not fooling anybody but yourselves. And the white supremacists are laughing at you, laughing at all of us. You don't have a right to even talk harshly to a black female. You lost that if you ever had it in the first place, and you shouldn't have had it, because why talk harshly to people? Why beat people? Well, this is my woman. You don't own anything because you don't own yourself. Come off of it. Somebody needs to say these things, and I'm saying them because they're true. And you got to start with the truth. And we can't handle the truth, even though we're always talking about keeping it real more than anybody. But we keep it real among ourselves, and that's a fantasy. Because when we're dealing with the white supremacists, we're nothing but little whimpering animals. That's it. We know that. But we don't have to remain that way. But you got to face the truth. When you've been beaten, you say you've been beaten. Every football player knows that. If he's going to win the next game, say you've been beaten. Say that your cornerback wasn't in the correct place. Say that the quarterback is no good. Say that you can't get into the end zone on no game, rather than keep fantasizing about, well, I had a dream last night and I made 100 touchdowns. So I'm going to go with my nightmare that I had rather than reality. I'm a loser. The way to become a winner is, first of all, acknowledge that you're losing. That's in gambling, that's in business, that's in football, it's in everything that makes sense on this planet. Depends on what you want. You're going to have to be very specific about what you want. And you're not going to get most of what you want, most likely, under these conditions. The conditions will not nourish what it is you want. We're not in a society where non-white people in their relationships with each other are given nourishing platforms. We're not given anything to help us to get along with each other. So don't expect it. See, disappointment comes from expectation. We are in a situation that should never have existed. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Everything is problematic in all of the 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. So a black female, if I understand your question, cannot look forward to a constructive relationship with anybody. Because black people in general cannot look forward to that under this system. The system does not allow it. So all you can really do is minimize conflict. But you can't get it the way it ought to be. If you're looking for a companion, a husband, or something like that, just lower your expectations, because it's not likely to happen the way that it ought to be. In fact, the whole situation in which you exist is nowhere near the way it ought to be. So therefore, your relationship is not going to be the way it ought to be. This is why a lot of people say, well, I don't have time to think about this racist thing and all like that. I just got to get on with my life. That's the problem. You can't get on with your life, because racism is going to touch everything that you do, every move you make. And if you think you can have a relationship outside of racism, it's not going to happen if you're classified as non-white. It's not going to happen. And so any person that you pick for a partner and all like that is going to have some pluses and a whole lot of minuses. Now, some people have said they've seen some cartoons of my work on the internet that have been presented, and that it pretty well embellishes what I have been trying to say in my textbooks. And to the extent that it does that, well, that has been, from what I understand, some people reported to me, a plus. Because they didn't understand what I had written very well, but when they saw those cartoons that just repeated what I was saying and attaching my name to it, and came right out of the book, the material did, they say that they better understood it. And I can understand that, because people are kind of visual, particularly in the year 2021 now, more visual than ever.